cameras are working, and then we're going to get started. So hang on there. We're going to be with you in a second. Promise. And there it is. The thumbs are up. Yay. Hey, folks. Dr. Joe here. Glad to be with us today. We're going to talk today about probably tied with the most destructive ingredient in your diet. So it's a very important talk today. If you're new to the show, the way we do this is I talk for 24 minutes. You, whatever platform you're on, can listen. And if you have any health questions, type your health question in. John, my producer behind the cameras over there, will then read me the questions at the 24-minute break. I will then answer your questions for you. Then we take another 24 minutes of me talking, and then we take another break, and then I'll answer some more questions. So 24 on, questions, 24 on, questions. That's how it works. Wherever you're from, just type in where you're from. I'd like to hear. It's always nice to hear where you guys are listening from. I do appreciate that. And other than that, share it. Share right now. We're going to give you a lot of good information. Again, this is probably the most, if tied with the most destructive ingredient in your diet, and you need to drop it out of your diet immediately. And it's not easy to do. I'm going to tell you how. Ready, John? All right, here we go. Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito here. I am glad you're with me today. We're going to talk today, important topic, one of the most, if not the most destructive ingredient in your diet. The worst thing that you're eating. Now, you've heard me talk about the 7 deadly sins of nutrition: alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, breads, cookies, cakes, donuts, pastas. This is in a lot of them. And a lot of research is coming out now on it, and it's really bad. I've always said artificial sweetener is the worst thing you can put in your body. This is tied with that. Maybe a little worse. I'm not sure. I may have to amend how I talk about. And what it is, it's called linoleic acid, omega-6 fatty acids. Commonly put, vegetable oils. They are everywhere. Now, let's talk about what fats are so you understand this. And you got to listen to this because you need to cut this out of your diet immediately. Fats, they're water-insoluble biological molecules. We call them lipids. Now, they're primary building blocks of cell membranes. So what does that mean? The cell has a wall around it, a membrane. And it's made of a lipoprotein layer. Lipo meaning fat, protein meaning protein. And that's what builds up the wall. So that's why it's so important that you eat the right type of fats. And more importantly, you stay away from the wrong type of fats. So this is really vital. So what distinguishes one fat from another is a specific combination of what's called fatty acids. Now, it's composed of, and the properties of fats and fatty acids depend on what's called hydrogen saturation. Again, this is the boring part of it. And it's where hydrogen molecules link everything together. So there's 2 basic types of fatty acids based on how many of their carbon bonds are paired with hydrogen. Again, the boring part. Saturated fats. Saturated fats have hydrogen molecules hooking together with the carbon in a straight line. They're saturated with hydrogen molecules. That's the term saturated fats. Unsaturated fats have at least one pair of hydrogen atoms that are not combined. And there's 2 types of this. There's monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. So again, saturated has a lot of hydrogen molecules on it, as many as it can. Monounsaturated, missing one pair of hydrogen molecules. Polyunsaturated, missing more than one pair. The problem is that when you lose the hydrogen molecules, there's kind of a bend or a kink in this molecule, if you can imagine it as a line. The more hydrogen pairs that are missing, the more distorted this molecule is, and that causes the membranes to become have more space in them, and that's what makes a fat a liquid at room temperature. If it's solid at room temperature, it's saturated. There's not as much room between everything. The unsaturated, mono or polyunsaturated fats have more room, and again, this is chemistry here, and it makes it a liquid at room temperature. So liquid fats are the bad ones. Let's kind of keep it simple. Those would be the vegetable oil, the corn, the soy, the canola, cottonseed. Isn't that amazing? We wouldn't eat a cottonseed, yet for some reason we can make oil out of it, and it's in so many different ingredients. Why? Because it's cheap. It's very simple. It's cheap. The danger is they're not very stable. And I'm going to cover this a little later, but they're just not stable. And if a fat or a fat molecule isn't stable, it can oxidize. Again, I'm going to circle back to this again because this is important. And when something oxidizes, it releases something called free radicals. Now, what are free radicals? Free radicals are like Pac-Man. They eat through things, waka, 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 and you're eating through things. And when you have a mono or polyunsaturated fat, which isn't very stable, and then you heat it, especially like cooking with it, you create this unstable molecule creates these free radicals. And these free radicals start attacking the body. Also, we're going to cover this later, is the cell walls are made up with good fats or bad fats. If they're made up with bad fats, they don't do their job very well. So the reason I'm saying this and then circling back to it is the human brain has to hear something on a multiple times in order to memorize it. And I see this every day. I'll do a show, I'll do a lecture, and somebody will come in and say, you said on such and such a date, blank. And I'll say, that's not exactly what I said. What I said was this. Because the human brain has trouble comprehending something the first time. And it's very simple. If you listen to a song, do you memorize the words the first time? No, not at all. Second time, I like that song. It's a little catchy. Third time, I find it takes about 11 times for people to memorize something. So if you say, well, I heard you say that before, I said, yeah, I know. So I'm saying it again. I want you to memorize it and get it stuck in your brain. And that's how we do it. I used to be an actor way back in college. I mean, it wasn't like a Broadway actor, but in college I did that. It was one of my hobbies. I liked acting. And I remember talking about, every play. And every play we ever did, how are we going to memorize these lines? How are we going to memorize these lines? So I had a tape recorder, yes, cassette tape recorder, and I would record my parts. I'd record basically the whole thing, and I'd play it over and over and over again, just like a song. I'd have it memorized. So when I was on stage, I'd be doing something, and I'd say, oh, that's the next line because it was in my head. If I ask you to sing Happy Birthday right now, you know all the words. Why? You've heard it time and time again. If I asked you to sing a rock song, you'd probably know all the words. You heard it time and time again. That's what we have to do with the brain. But I digress. Let's talk about these omega-6 fatty acids, these polyunsaturated fats, because they are so bad and they're everywhere. And they're linked to every chronic disease known to man. Now, if you've never heard this before, this is new stuff for you. I knew sugar was bad. I knew meat was bad. I knew alcohol was bad. Probably worse. God, I hate to say that out loud, but there are so many things that are bad, but this is the worst. So polyunsaturated fats are divided into two types. There's omega-3 fatty acids and omega-6 fatty acids. Omega-3 fatty acids are the good guys to a point. If you take too many omega-3 fatty acids, they can be dangerous. So the most common toxin found in modern diet, and the fat that we need to minimize, is the omega-6 fatty acids. It's everywhere, and we need to cut it out. Now, there's different types of omega-6, but there's something called linoleic acid. Linoleic acid, it makes up about 60 to 80% of the omega-6 fatty acids, and is a contributor to all chronic diseases. So I know it's getting a little chemistry here on you, but just remember, omega-6 fatty acids bad. Now, it's clear it's only toxic when it's consumed in excessive quantities. We need a little bit of omega-6 fatty acids. But it is so ubiquitous, it's everywhere, that no one is going to be deficient in omega-6 fatty acids. Although it's essential, it's called an essential fatty acid, it's everywhere. It's in all foods. So whether you're eating a pure vegan raw diet, or if you're eating the standard American diet of chips and alcohol and chicken wings every day, you're getting plenty of omega-6 fatty acids. So we were taught that the ratio should be 1 to 1. You should have one omega-6 to one omega-3 molecule of fatty acids. So some people thought, I thought it too when I first learned it, well, if I eat more omega-6s, I just need to eat more omega-3s and balance out the 1 to 1 ratio. Now, 1 to 1 is probably not a realistic ratio. 3 to 1, 3 omega-6s to 1 omega-3, 3 to 6. 3 omega-6s to 1 omega-3, 5 omega-6s to 1 omega-3. All right, we can probably get away with that. Most people are doing 25, 30 or more omega-6s to 1 omega-3. Now, you can't just add more omega-3s because they too are a polyunsaturated fatty acid, and too much of them can be dangerous, just like omega-6s. Too much can be dangerous. So you want to limit your amounts. The problem is omega-6 fatty acids are everywhere. Omega-3 fatty acids are hard to come by. And so that's why I supplement personally with an omega-3 fatty acid every day. You should too. But you'd have to take an awful lot to cause a problem. So excessive amounts of omega-3s can cause metabolic damage, so just be careful with that. Now, how much omega-3 do I take? I take 1 gram a day. Now, we have it on our website, drjoe.com. It's called Dr. Joe's Vegan Omega-3s. And it says take 1 capsule. Now, it's funny because, or instructed by your doctor. And the reason is that there are certain guidelines we have to follow when things are manufactured. And the government, somebody smarter than us, I guess, says, all right, you know what, for this, 1 capsule is a recommended dosage. Now, if the doctor tells you to take more, like I am, you can take more. But everyone errs on the side of caution. So I take 2 capsules a day. Now, there's 3 types of omega-3 fatty acids, 3 major sources, I should say. One is going to be fish oil in a supplement form. I'm not a fan of the fish oil as an omega-3 fatty acid. Why is that? Number one, you run the risk of it having mercury in it. Some companies, good companies, will filter out the mercury. My thought is, why filter it out? It shouldn't be there to begin with. But if you're going to do fish oils, it's not my favorite choice. It's also not in what's called a phospholipid form. It's not in a usable form. The body has converted into a usable form. I like to take things with as little conversion necessary as possible, because the more steps there are, the more chances there are of having a problem with it. And the other thing is, fish oil can go rancid pretty quickly. So you have a polyunsaturated fat, an omega-3 fatty acid, and if it goes rancid, it creates free radicals and it causes damage as opposed to being good. So fish oil, not my favorite choice. Krill oil, way better choice. Krill oil is already in the phospholipid form. It looks like very small shrimp, so very low risk of mercury, because it hasn't lived a very long life to absorb the mercury from the ocean. But krill don't make omega-3 fatty acids. Fish don't make omega-3 fatty acids. Where do they get it from? They get it from algae. Algae is the purest form of omega-3 fatty acids. That's the kind I take every day. It also has no animal. It's vegan, so if animal products are an issue, you don't have to worry about it there. But algae oil is the purest form of omega-3 fatty acids. That's the one I take. I take 1 gram a day. Now, if you go to my website, drjoe.com, in the store section, that would be 2 pills or 2 capsules a day. That's what I recommend you do, because omega-3 fatty acids help with inflammation, they help with brain function, they help with so many different things. But again, you need to reduce the amount of omega-6s so you get the ratio right, not increase the amount of omega-3s. Doesn't work that way. So cutting out those omega-6s is a challenge. So general rule, vegetable and seed oils are high in polyunsaturated fats. Saturated fats, animal products, coconut oil, exact opposite. They're lower in polyunsaturated, higher in saturated fats. So I'm okay with you using something like extra virgin organic coconut oil. It's high in saturated fats. Now, it's a slightly different saturated fat than you'd find in an animal product. So when people say, well, saturated fats are bad, don't eat saturated fats, that's too broad a statement. Coconut oil is a slightly different bonding, so it's a little easier to use. The only oils I would recommend you ever use would be extra virgin organic coconut oil, extra virgin organic olive oil. That's it. Now, you can do avocado oil too, but if I have time, I'm going to get to it, and you're going to find out that avocado oil and olive oil are oftentimes adulterated. They're cut with cheaper forms of oil, so it's really not pure avocado or olive oil. And some estimates say up to 80% of the olive oil in the market today is not real olive oil. It's been cut with cheaper seed oils, and most people don't know the difference. Now, if you've ever tasted really pure organic olive oil, it has a very sharp taste to it. It almost tingles in the back of your throat. It has a very strong smell to it. Smells like olive oil. That's okay. So here's a little test you can do to see if you have good olive oil. Take the olive oil you bought, put it in the refrigerator overnight. Take it out the next day and see if it's cloudy. If it's a little cloudy, you've got a good olive oil. If it's not cloudy, chances are it's cut with those cheaper oils. The other rule you want to do when you buy olive oil is this. Make sure it comes from one source. So, for example, it comes from Italy, comes from Greece, comes from California. When they start blending it, this one, it's mixed with blends of olive oil from Greece and Italy and Turkey. That's when you have more chance of adulteration, of it being altered. And so, one source, extra virgin organic, should have smell like olive oil, should get cloudy when you put it in the refrigerator, should taste in the back of your throat a little tingly. That's how you tell a good olive oil. I read a study, and I don't know if it's true, but it said that there's not enough olive trees in the world for all the olive oil that's on sale in the stores. And so if that's the case, obviously something's being altered. And it's cheap. You cut it with cheap oil and sell it for an expensive price. It's pretty cool. But I really only want you using those good oils. Now, patients come to me all the time, and they'll say, well, Dr. Joe, I take a shot glass of olive oil every day. And some people on the internet are saying, oh, that's very healthy for you. I don't agree with that. You can use it if you want to, but I don't think you need to take a shot of it. It's still altered. It's still processed. It's not an olive. It's processed out of the olive. As soon as things are processed out of its original form, it starts to oxidize. So it's not a supplement. Although some doctors say it might be. Some people on the internet say it is. I don't agree with that. And that's okay. We can disagree on things. So that's the kind of oils I want. If you're going to cook, you want to cook with coconut oil. Olive oil breaks down pretty quickly when it's heated. Coconut oil is more stable because it's a saturated fat. It doesn't oxidize under heat. We talked about that earlier. So your tissues are made up mostly of saturated and monounsaturated fats. And your body requires more of them than it does the polyunsaturated fats. And the main dietary polyunsaturated fats, omega-3 and omega-6s, they need them, but in very small quantities. So that's why I'm not a fan of just throwing extra processed oil into your body. Now, if you want to eat some olives, organic olives, I'm salty, but I'm okay with that. You want to eat avocados, those are different oils. Olive oil has omega-9 fatty acids in it, but you want to eat it in its purest form. Now, if you're going to eat a lot of nuts, because you've heard me say fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds are the best foods, too many nuts are going to be high in omega-6 fatty acids. So when it comes to nuts, I usually say a handful or two a day. What I do if I'm really hungry and I need a snack, I'll have maybe 2 handfuls of nuts. And that'll give me a good fats to make me feel full, proteins. But if I eat too many, A, I'm going to gain weight, and B, I'm going to get too many omega-6 fatty acids. Avocados, they're okay. But again, if I eat too many avocados, I get fat. So you just got to be careful about what you put in your body. So this is the worst part. The polyunsaturated fats are integrated into your cell membranes, and they can remain in the cell membrane for 5 to 7 years. Now, if I eat sugar, sugar can get in my cell. It can cause problems. I've done shows on sugar before. 24 hours later, maybe 48 hours later, it's out of my system. These polyunsaturated fats can stay there for 5 to 7 years, and they build up the part of the cell wall, the lipoprotein layer, and so the cell can't absorb nutrients and pass out waste products properly. And so now the cell is compromised. And if it gets into the mitochondria is the part of the cell that generates electricity. If you get these rancid fats into the mitochondria, it can create free radicals, and free radicals, we said it like Pac-Man, they attack things, and they can eat away at the mitochondria. And now the mitochondria becomes weak. It can't generate electricity, affects your immune system, affects your energy, affects how your nerves work, affects the aging process. So I really want you to stay away from these polyunsaturated fats, these vegetable oils. So if you've listened to my shows before, I've been doing this for 40 years now. I've been lecturing, I've been radio, television. We talk about the 3 things you have to have in order to obtain and maintain good health. First one is a normally functioning nervous system. I believe this is the missing link in healthcare. Because every day I deal with patients that have been to other doctors and hospitals, and no one ever says to them, listen, your nervous system controls your heart, your lungs, your liver, your spleen, your kidneys, your thyroid, your prostate. We got to make sure the nervous system is working so that those organs have the capability of working properly. Nobody talks about that. I believe that's the missing link. That's where chiropractic care comes in. Chiropractic care is the most effective, least expensive treatment for back pain, but 90% of your nerves don't feel pain. You can have pinched nerves and not know it. I have patients come into my offices all the time, and they say, Doc, I feel great, but I have high blood pressure, I have diabetes, I have prostate issues. And I check their nervous system, and inevitably I'm going to find pinched nerves on them. And I explain the pinched nerves affect the health, and they say, let's get those fixed. I don't want you to think of our office as just a pain clinic. We're really good at pain. I'm board certified in pain management. We're really good at pain, but we're a lot more than that. So if you want to make an appointment to come see us, if you have pain, If you have digestive issues, if you have health concerns, if you have brain issues, nutrition, go to my website, drjoe.com, and book an appointment, drjoe.com. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. That's the Atlanta area. We can also do remote consultations if we need to. But we want to get to the cause of your problem, not just treat the symptom. So drjoe.com, drjoe.com. You can book an appointment right online. You have to have a normally functioning nervous system. You have to have a normally functioning digestive system. How many of you right now, raise your hands, driving, don't do this, do you have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation? Those are signs that you're not digesting your food properly. And then we have to have good nutrition. So every patient that comes to see us, we do an exam, x-rays, consultation, and chiropractic treatment if appropriate. Then on a follow-up visit, we do a nutrition evaluation. And we go over their findings and discuss, listen, this I think would be the best course of treatment for you, and then you decide what to do. I don't know anybody who does that at any price. We do it for $299. It's normally $940. We do it for $299. So book an appointment right now. Stop suffering needlessly. Every day. I had one last week. Dr. Joe, I've been following you for almost 40 years now. I remember when you had long hair and used to give lectures locally, and I did that for 40 years. Still do. Don't have long hair anymore. And he said, I've been meaning to come see you. It took him 40 years to get here. And when he left, he said, Dr. Joe, the biggest regret I have is that I didn't come see you sooner. So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com. All the supplements we talked about omega-3 fatty acids, super green essential source, nitric oxide opens up your blood vessels, B vitamins, everybody's deficient. If you don't replace them, you got to replace them. All of those are on the website, drjoe.com. You can send me questions through the website as well, drjoe.com. Happy to answer any health questions you might have. You're very safe. It's a very nice place to be. And you can search the website. We have over 4,000 hours of content there. So just go to drjoe.com. So we're talking today about probably the worst ingredient in your diet, and that would be what we call linoleic acids, polyunsaturated fats, margarines, fat in a can, vegetable oils. These are all the things that really just destroy your body. And research has shown that if you have a large amount of linoleic acid, polyunsaturated fats, it affects an enzyme called delta desaturase. Now, what this is, that converts plant-based omega-3 fatty acids, called ALA, and you can get omega-3 fatty acids from macadamia nuts, you can get it from flax seeds, chia seeds, you can get it from romaine lettuce. And this enzyme converts the plant-based version, ALA, into a usable version called DHA and EPA. So if you have too much linoleic acid, it suppresses the enzyme that converts the plant-based fats into the plant-based omega-3s into the usable omega-3s, thus creating more of an imbalance between your omega-3s and your omega-6s. You have to have the balance. You're eating too many omega-6s, now you can't even produce as much omega-3s. And that's one of the reasons I like the algae oil as a supplement for omega-3s, because it's already in a usable form. It's the purest form we have. You don't have to worry about mercury toxicity, any heavy metal toxicity, and it's an essential fatty acid. You have to get it from an outside source. I wouldn't take 5 grams a day because that could be too much of the polyunsaturated omega-3 fatty acids. Now, I know today we're talking a lot about chemistry, but it's important, and I try to make it as easy as we can to understand, because if you're eating these vegetable oils, and I promise you, you're eating them. Even if you're eating an organic raw food diet, a vegan diet, if you're eating too many nuts, you're getting the high quantities of omega-6 fatty acids. So we all get it. No matter what diet you're getting, I really want you to consider cutting back on your omega-3s and omega-6 fatty acids especially, the polyunsaturated fats. So pick up anything that's processed, and chances are you're going to see that it has a vegetable oil in it. Corn, soy, canola, cottonseed. I don't know why we eat cottonseed. I'm still confused about that. But chances are it's going to be in there. So this is another reason to stay away from the processed foods and eat foods that don't have labels and ingredients on them. And that would be fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. If you don't know what to eat, go to my website, drjoe.com, and type in the search bar, so what can I eat? And we do a whole lecture there. And that's a good starting point. It's not perfect. It's good. And if you want to know what not to eat, you can go to 7 Deadly Sins of Nutrition. Just type that in the search bar, and you'll find that's a great lecture I did too. But follow me on social media. We post every single day. You're going to get health tips every single day. and we have probably about 1 million followers across all platforms. So the world wants this stuff, and I want to offer it to you. But the best thing you can do is make an appointment to come see us. Again, the website, drjoe.com. Social media, you'll get posts every day. I want to get this information to you. I want to be your doctor. I want to help get you well and keep you well. Folks, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. To the second, almost. You approve?
I do.
It's clear?
Good.
Because this is confusing stuff, and I'm trying to make it, you understanding it, right?
Yep.
Okay, good. I want to make sure that everybody gets it. John, what about our listeners? Are they getting it?
I think so.
Okay, good.
What are your thoughts on berberine?
Berberine is great. Berberine, it's actually pronounced. But it's great. Absolutely. Helps stabilize blood sugar. A lot of people use it to help. I do recommend it for people with diabetes and also people taking these drugs now to suppress their appetite. Berberine is like the natural version of that. It's not as strong, which I like. Yeah, so it's a good product, yeah.
The only effective way I've found to lose weight is simply to eat less food. Is that a good approach?
Yes, as long as the food you are eating is good food. One of the concerns I have about semaglutides and other drugs is that you have no appetite. And I speak to people that have done it, and they said, I have no appetite, and I'm not eating anything. Well, that's not a good thing either because you need food because that's how you get your nutrition. So if you are doing something like that, you know, eating less food or taking a medication, I strongly advise you take Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source, B complex, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, and glutathione to get the medication out of your diet, out of your liver. So, yeah, eating less really does help, but make sure the food that you do eat is the best food you can eat. Then you're going to get lots of nutrients.
Is monounsaturated better than polyunsaturated?
Yes, monounsaturated is better than polyunsaturated, and yes, the plant-based saturated is the best.
Follow up to that, is monounsaturated the best fat?
Well, actually, a plant-based saturated fat is going to be great, but the monounsaturated along with the saturated are going to be good. Okay, the polyunsaturated are the bad ones, yeah.
How do I figure out which olive oil is of good quality?
I wish I knew that answer. I tested Sprouts brand personally, and I liked it. It has a bitter taste to it. It smells like olive oil. I put it in the refrigerator, it got cloudy. So Sprouts organic olive oil seems to want the one that I know is okay. Now, that's the only one I can vouch for, but I don't know what else is out there. So,
what are your thoughts on butter?
not a fan. The reason is animal fats. I'm not a fan of animal products. I guess you know that already. But if you're going to eat butter, make sure it's organic. Now, it is a saturated fat, so it doesn't. You don't have the polyunsaturated fat risk to it. So if I had to pick, God, I hate to say this out loud, between a margarine, a polyunsaturated margarine, which is really the worst of the worst, and an organic butter, I'd probably say the organic butter. Ghee is probably a better choice. Ghee is a purified butter. It's used in Indian cooking. Ghee is a better choice. It's still an animal product, but the best choice would be extra virgin organic coconut or olive or avocado. So,
what are your thoughts on sea salts?
if you're going to do sea salt, Celtic sea salt is going to be your best. Now, Himalayan salt, the pink salt, if it's mined in China, we have a problem. Because what we're finding now in China is there's usually veins of salt, and they'll mine the vein and they'll bag it up and sell it. But what they're finding in China is they're kind of going outside the vein. They're getting minerals and chemicals and heavy metals mixed in sometimes. So I had somebody send me an email. They work in a company that uses Pakistani pink salt. I think it was Pakistani. And they said they test their products for heavy metals. Now, is that true or not? I don't know. Celtic salt is always safe, so that's why I recommend Celtic salt. That would be a better choice. But if you're going to do Himalayan salt, don't do China because we're not sure about that one.
That is all.
Okay, great. We're ready for part 2. Okay, so much to cover, so little time. Ready? Hey, folks, Dr. Joe Esposito. If you stayed with me, thank you. If you're just joining me, welcome. Glad you could be here. What we're talking about today is a really important topic. One of the worst, if not the worst ingredient that you find in your foods, and most of you are eating it every single day. And if you didn't listen to the first part, what are you thinking? Artificial sweeteners, sugars, monosodium glutamate? No. It's polyunsaturated fats, vegetable oils, corn seed, cottonseed, canola, safflower, sunflower. These polyunsaturated seed oils are so bad because they have such an adverse effect on the body because A, they break down very quickly and they become rancid. And when they become rancid, they create something called free radicals. Now, free radicals are molecules that are like Pac-Man. They eat through things. They attack the body. So that's one of the reasons. Number two, too much of it can prevent you from properly utilizing something called omega-3 fatty acids, another polyunsaturated fat, but it's a good one. Omega-6s are good in very small quantities. And there's no one who needs to take an omega-6 supplement or needs to add more omega-6 to their diet because it's even found in regular foods like nuts, seeds. If you're eating a nut or seed and it has the oil in it, let's say sunflower seeds, it has the omega-6, but it hasn't been processed yet. It hasn't been heated. It hasn't been chemically altered. And so that's okay in small amounts. And it has fiber in it, other nutrients that kind of offset some of the damage. When you process the oil out, that's when it becomes a problem. Even extra virgin organic olive oil is still a processed food. Now, I understand I don't want to be so extreme and say don't use any processed foods. I get that. I wish you wouldn't, but I get it. So if you're going to use oil, extra virgin organic olive oil or extra virgin organic coconut oil. So that's better choices. And really, everything I teach you is all about making better choices. Can you make the best choice? Sometimes no. Okay? I went to a concert the other day, and it was box seats. Somebody gave me box seats, and it was great, and they gave us $25 each of food and beverage money we can spend. So got the VIP section, went to the VIP area where they have the fancy bar and the food, and I looked at the menu, and I lost my mind. Hot dogs, burgers, fries. One hamburger, $16. No fries, no tomato, nothing fancy. Pickle, a little bit of onion, and some ketchup. $15. So I said, okay, what's going to be the best choice on the menu? There was no good choice. What was the best choice? And the best choice was Brussels sprouts with hummus. It was okay. It was $16. It was ridiculously overpriced. Now, I'm sure they used a bad oil when making this Brussels sprouts. I'm sure they didn't use extra virgin organic coconut oil. But it was the best choice available at the time. So that, two of those, and a water came to, with a tip, $49. How insane is that? So people are spending these crazy amounts of money for bad food. It's not even good food. It's bad food. So you make the best choice possible every chance you can. And when you do that, you're limiting so many of these omega-6 fatty acids that if there is a little bit of omega-6 fatty acid in the diet, it's okay. Your body can process that. But when I see people eating the onion rings and French fries, along with the cheese dip, along with fried crackers, fried chips to eat it with, and then washing it down with a $25 alcoholic beverage, I was worried. I'm frightened for our society if that's what people are doing. And they were everywhere. We were the exception. So I digress. We're talking today about omega-6 fatty acids and how bad they are. And the omega-6 fatty acids are linoleic acids. They're vegetable oils. So the problem is most adults are consuming far more than the recommended linoleic or omega-6 fatty acids. Chronic diseases such as heart disease began to skyrocket when we changed the type of oils that we used. Now, this is correlation, not causation. Correlation is we did this, this happened. Causation means we did the study and we found exactly that. But we did find that as soon as we started going to these cheaper oils, we saw things skyrocket. And years ago, I've told this story before, probably 14, 15 years ago, I was doing a show, and I said margarine is one of the number one cause of heart disease. And my mother called me up, and she said, she called me up a couple weeks later, and she said, I just saw a report on CNN, and it said margarine linked to heart disease, worse than butter. And she said, I'm not sure if you're a nut or a prophet. I haven't quite figured that out yet. And I said, probably a little bit of both, Mom. But I just read the research. The research is very clear. The polyunsaturated omega-6 fatty acids, linoleic acid specifically, is the worst of the omega-6 fatty acids, gets into the cell, affects the cell, creates free radicals, it weakens the cell wall, gets into the mitochondria, attacks the mitochondria. Mitochondria can't produce electricity. The cell becomes weak. And now the cell, we're going to talk about this in a second, can't divide properly. And if the cell can't divide properly, is a part of the cell wall, it's called cardiolipin. Yes, cardiolipin. And it tells the cell to self-destruct. It creates apoptosis. Apoptosis means the cell is now weak, it's fragile, it's not as healthy as it should be, it dies. When the cell can't initiate apoptosis, because the polyunsaturated fats have affected the part of the cell that does that, the cell now starts to regenerate, replicate itself, and it's a weak cell, it's a cheap cell. And that's how the polyunsaturated fats are linked to the increase in cancer. Wow. A lot of chemistry there. Just know that these cells can increase your risk of cancer. It's just that simple. Now, back in the 60s and 70s, a guy named Dr. Atkins. Remember Dr. Atkins? And he talked about that sugar was so bad and we have to go to these high-protein diets. And he said you need to cut out things like breads, potato chips, French fries, pizzas, donuts. Not only do you eliminate the sugar, which was great, but also in the 60s and 70s, those foods had the polyunsaturated fats in them. And so inadvertently, he had cut out not only the sugar, but the polyunsaturated fats. And people started to do well. Obviously, it's the carbohydrates that are bad. Not necessarily true. Yeah, they were bad. You shouldn't be eating breads and cookies and cakes and donuts and pastas. Absolutely, for many reasons. But one of the inadvertent side effects was that people started to cut out the processed fats. And so it was good on multiple levels. Not saying you should be eating pizzas and donuts, no, but it also helped us cut out those polyunsaturated fats. And they started eating things like animal proteins, which are high in saturated fats. I am not a fan of animal proteins. However, and I hate to say this out loud, the saturated fats were less dangerous than the polyunsaturated fats. Now, I prefer you don't eat the animal products for many reasons. Steroids, chemicals, hormones, antibiotics, pesticides, genetically modified food that they're fed, the high levels of pesticides and weed killers that are fed to the animals through the food. You increase the risk of heart disease, diabetes, cancer, but you cut out the polyunsaturated fats. And that was actually a good part of that. So excessive linoleic acid can just wreak havoc on your health because it creates these free radicals, and these free radicals attack the body. So in addition to oxidation, this free radicals being produced, causing inflammation, mitochondrial dysfunction, the processed oils damage the cell lining of your blood vessels. They create free radicals attacking the lining of your blood vessels. Now what happens? When the lining of the blood vessels are irritated or attacked, let's imagine they're scratching it, okay, creating a little irritation. The body says, uh-oh, that's weakening my cell wall, the blood vessel wall. What can I do to make that wall, the blood vessel wall, stronger? I know. Let's lay down cholesterol. Let's lay down plaque, and the plaque is going to make the cell wall thicker and prevent it from bursting. Problem is, if that goes unchecked, you lay down a lot of plaque, and an artery becomes narrower, and that's called hardening the arteries, increasing your risk of heart disease. So animal products can cause problems, but so can these polyunsaturated fats. It can cause memory impairment, increase your risk of Alzheimer's disease. Canola oil in particular has been linked to Alzheimer's disease. Where's canola oil used? Well, pretty much almost everywhere. Canola oil means Canadian oil, can oil. It comes from something called rapini. In Italian, I grew up calling it broccoli rabe. And the rapini seeds produce these oils, and they use high pressure. They use chemicals to extract it out of the seeds. They deodorize it. They make it clear. And so many different chemical processes and high heat alter this amazing food, broccoli rabe, one of my favorite foods in the world, into the seed oil that's so highly toxic and oxidized and dangerous. It can strip your liver of glutathione by lowering your antioxidant defenses. Glutathione is a major antioxidant. The more free radicals you throw at the body, the more antioxidants the body has to use, and it kind of uses them up. And that becomes a problem. So you can lower your glutathione levels, and glutathione is necessary for many things. It's a supplement I take every day. I think you should too, to protect the liver, but also act as a free radical fighter, an antioxidant, and that works great. It inhibits your body's ability to convert omega-3 fatty acids, the short-chain omega-3s, into the long-chain omega-3 fatty acids that your body uses. We talked about that. It can impair your memory, your immune function, and increase mortality. So it weakens your immune system. It can make your fat cells more insulin sensitive, thereby causing insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is type 2 diabetes, and not for the show. And it inhibits cardiolipin. We talked about that earlier. And that's an important fat membrane. That's a fat in the membrane of the mitochondria of the cell. And if that is damaged, the cell can't kill itself. When the cell becomes weak, it can't die. And then it starts producing weak cells, and that can increase your risk of cancer. Is that enough reasons to cut out your vegetable oils? Let's give you a few more. So we talked about the cardiolipid. It increases your risk of heart disease and cancer. And heart disease and cancer, two primary killers in the Western world, this linoleic acid, this omega-6 fatty acid, these polyunsaturated fats, is a significant contributor to both of these problems. So seed oils are also a major contributor to cancer. In fact, a surefire way to induce cancer in many animal models is to feed them seed oils. So we take animals, we feed them seed oils, increase their risk of cancer. Animals typically develop cancer once the linoleic acid in their diet reaches 4 to 10% of their caloric intake or energy intake. So 4 to 10% increase the risk of cancer in animals. How does that convert into humans? Most Americans get about 25% of their total caloric intake from seed oils, far past the safety threshold of 4 to 10%. Now, these are animal models, but we do see this in people too. And we know that diet has a direct impact on heart disease, cancer, and all diseases. We know there's a direct impact. We know the things that are bad. We know the things that are good. And yet, for some reason, we continue to do these things. And I don't know why. If you've ever been to a hospital, you've ever been to a senior housing, you've ever been to a school, look what these people are being fed. I remember going to visit a friend of mine in a hospital and losing my ever-loving mind because I walked past patients and I was watching what they were eating, and I was watching the food cart go by. And there's artificial sweetener, and there's dairy products, and there's cakes, and there's sugars. In the cancer ward, they're feeding people sugar. What do cancer cells love? Sugar. So we're giving these cancer cells sugar in the cancer ward, where they're trying to keep these people alive and stop them from dying from cancer. I don't understand it. We know that a plant-based diet lowers your risk of cancer. Why isn't everybody on a plant-based diet, especially if you have cancer? I don't know. I get angry because I don't understand it. I'm a man. I think very linear. My mind is very linear, very logical. I think straight lines. Men and women think differently. I understand that. But I don't think no matter how, whatever your gender is, no matter how your brain works, why you would want to eat something that we know can increase the risk of what you have if you're being treated for that condition. It makes no sense to me. We know that linoleic acid can contribute to Alzheimer's disease. Why do we feed people linoleic acid, polyunsaturated fats in memory treatment, in memory wards? I don't know. It makes no sense to me. Now, what does make sense is that you people are smart enough to say, you know what, I'm listening to this because I want to learn something. I want to learn how to get well and stay well, or else you wouldn't be listening to me, and that's okay. I understand this isn't for everybody. This is only for people that want to get well and stay well, and I say that not to be a jerk, but some people say, you're going to die anyway. Something's going to get you. You're absolutely right. You're going to die anyway. But I want to go out in a blaze of glory, man. I want to have a lot of fun doing this. This is my only round, and the older I get, the more I realize I want to go out and have fun in life. You know, Steve Winwood's song, While There Is Time, let's go out and feel everything. Love that. Love that line. I want extreme health. And we're doing the things to ourselves and saying, why am I so sick? Why is my insurance company not paying for this treatment? Why am I not going to be around to spend time with my grandkids? I don't know. I hope what I'm doing is right. So far, so good. Every time I get a blood test, every time I get a brain analysis, I'm substantially, decades better than people my age. You should be too. So if you have a health problem, if you have neck pain, back pain, shoulder pain, numbness, tingling, digestive issues, nutritional concerns, make an appointment to come see us. In the Atlanta area, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. We know chiropractic care is the most effective, least expensive treatment for most back pain issues. Not all, but most. So pain issues, my team of doctors and I are really good at pain. Can't fix everybody, no promises, but we're really good at getting to the cause of the pain, not just treating the symptoms. And most patients say, why didn't I do this sooner? I hear it every day. Why didn't I come see you sooner? So if you want to make an appointment, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Normally the first visit is $940. I've reduced that for you, my listeners, to $299. That's an exam, x-rays, consultation, and first chiropractic treatment. On the second visit, we do a follow-up, go over the x-rays and the exam findings, and a complete nutrition evaluation. At that point, we've put together a treatment plan, what we think is going to be the best course of treatment for you. You decide at that point what you want to do. Most people, major majority of people say, yeah, I want to do this. That's why I'm here. But I want to be your doctor. And I want to put together a healthcare plan specifically for you. Not an insurance plan, a healthcare plan. Insurance just covers treatments. The healthcare plan is what to do about it. And that's what's missing in healthcare is we don't have healthcare plans. How do I get my nervous system working best? How do I get my digestive system working best? How do I get my diet straightened out? What supplements are going to be best for me? I don't believe supplements are a luxury. I believe supplements are a necessity. And I live my life by that. And I have proof, myself specifically, that what I'm doing works. If it didn't work, I'd be doing something else. If meatball sandwiches and ice cream were the best, I'd be eating them. I can eat whatever I want. I know it works because I do the research and I've done it on myself. So if you want to make an appointment for chiropractic, for nutrition, we use something called acoustic wave therapy. It breaks up scar tissue in joints, increases circulation to the joint, recruits stem cells. I've had countless people tell me I was told I need a hip replacement, a knee replacement, or a shoulder replacement, and now I'm doing great. Thank you. So we have acoustic wave. We have cold laser. Cold laser is the really buzz in healthcare now. It sends electricity into the mitochondria and stimulates the mitochondria to function more efficiently. So if you've had omega-6 fatty acids that can stay in your mitochondria 5 to 7 years, we can try to jumpstart them with the cold laser. So we have so many different treatments. Go to my website, drjoe.com. You'll see what we do. But make an appointment to come see us and let us help determine what's going to be the best treatment for you. I learn new things every single day. I've been studying this for over 40 years, and every day I learn something new. I can't expect you to know what the best course of treatment is going to be, what's new on the market, what's a scam. I want to help you get through that. So make an appointment, drjoe.com, drjoe.com. Yes, we take insurance. It depends what your insurance covers. We take Medicare, even the VA. If the VA refers you to us, we're on the VA referral list. So if the VA refers you, they'll even pay for your treatment. And if you're ever in a car accident, please, folks, if the car is damaged, you're damaged. I've never seen it any other way. So if you're in an accident, you're going to get phone calls from scammers. Go see this doctor, go see this lawyer. It's a scam. It's illegal. No one will ever call you and tell you to go see a doctor or a lawyer. And they're very convincing, by the way. I've had patients say, well, Dr. Joe, they said I should go see this lawyer. They said I should go see this doctor. It's a scam. Please don't fall for it. It's a felony on their part, too, by the way. So car accidents, please come see us. We can be the captain of your ship. We can navigate the best course of treatment for you that we feel is the best course of treatment. So can't make promises or guarantees, but drjoe.com, I think once you join us, you're going to be very happy with that decision. Follow us on social media. Again, just look up Dr. Joe Esposito, the Dr. Joe Esposito on Facebook. We post every single day. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We're growing every day with new followers. Sign up for my newsletter. That's the elite group. Those are the cool kids. We send out newsletters when we have a pop-up lecture, when we have a podcast, when we have a radio show. I've given away concert tickets to my newsletter people because those are the people that are serious. And you know what? If you don't like it, unsubscribe. I'm never going to use your email for anything. If you don't like it on Facebook, unfollow or social media. Give it a chance. Find out what it's like to get well and stay well. I think you're going to be very, very excited when you start to see what it's like to actually experience optimum health. It's really pretty exciting. Now, when it comes to animal products, I'm not a fan, but if you're going to eat animal products, I recommend organic only. If you're going to eat animal products, the omega-6 fatty acids are highest in animals that only have one stomach. Because animals, ruminant animals such as cows, buffalo, sheep, lamb, goats, deer, they can actually convert the linoleic acids into a saturated fat or monounsaturated fat. Animals like chickens, pigs, they can't do this conversion. So they're fed things like corn and soy, which are high in omega-6 fatty acids, the bad oils. They can't convert it into saturated fats, and it becomes a problem. Now, I'm not a fan of animal products, but I'm also a realist. I understand that some people are going to do this. If you do it, please do organic. At least they're not fed diets high in omega-6 fatty acids. The chickens and the pigs can't convert the omega-6s into the omega-3, into the saturated, but other animals can. Once again, this hurts me to say these things. But I'm also a realist, and I understand if you're going to do it, let's do the best you possibly can. I do recommend staying away from seafood because not all seafood contains omega-3 fatty acids, and especially shellfish, clams, crabs, lobsters, flounder that live on the bottom, catfish. They have a tendency to be very high in heavy metals. And heavy metals, mercury, lead, cadmium, are very toxic to humans. When Moses wrote Leviticus, that was thousands of years ago, Moses said in Leviticus, don't eat shellfish. Don't eat the bottom dwellers. Now, the water was a lot cleaner then than now. Moses didn't have all the research in omega-6 and omega-3s and mercury and lead and polyvinyl chlorides. But Moses knew that the bottom dwellers, when people ate them, weren't as healthy as the people who didn't eat them. And so, even then, when the water was clean, they were bad. It's a lot worse now. I had a patient, I did a remote consultation, actually a virtual consultation with her last week. And she says, I can't understand why I'm so sick. I've been to all these doctors. My thyroid isn't working. I have fatigue. I have diarrhea. And I'm fat. And she just went on and on and on and on. And she goes, and I eat a really good diet, Dr. Joe. I eat everything you say. And so I had her write down what she eats, and she emailed it to me. And she's eating flounder. She's eating crab. She's eating lobsters, shrimp. She's eating wheat, non-organic wheat. I don't recommend wheat either, by the way, folks, for many reasons. I don't have time to go into that today. And I looked at her diet, candy bars. And I said, I didn't want to be a jerk, but I said, what part of I'm eating right am I missing here? Well, I had vegetables with my shrimp scampi. Okay, what else? So I got very confused. So if you don't know what to eat, go to my website, drjoe.com, type in, so what can I eat? All the supplements we talked about. Again, the minimum supplements everybody should be taking is Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. B complex, you pee them out every day. You need to replace them. Omega-3 fatty acids, absolutely necessary. Vitamin D, unless you're working out in the sun all day, you need vitamin D supplements in most cases. So go to my website. All the supplements are there. You can order them right online. We ship the same or next day. Any questions, send them to me through the website, drjoe.com. Happy to answer your questions. Follow me on social media, Dr. Joe Esposito. Just look me up, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Most important thing you could do is make an appointment to come see us. In the Atlanta area, Marietta, Duluth, Stockbridge, and West Cobb. Let's see if there's a treatment, a natural treatment to get you well and keep you well. Again, I'm Dr. Joe Esposito, drjoe.com. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. All right. What you got, John?
Green olives or black olives?
Black, they're more ripe. If I had to pick one, I'd pick black. Quiz you.
What are the best eggs to buy and consume?
Organic, if you're going to do organic only. Not farm raised, not pasture raised. Organic means they're not in a cage and they're fed organic foods. All the other ones are usually fed corn and soy, high in omega-6 fatty acids. Much lower in other nutrients as well. So if you're going to eat eggs, organic only. I don't eat them, but if you're going to eat them, organic only.
During meals, should I pair fruit with other fruit or with nuts?
Either way is fine. I mean, fruit breaks down pretty quickly. Like a melon, for example. Cantaloupe is going to be digested and out of your stomach in about 20 minutes. Nuts are protein. They're going to last a little longer. But when you're ready to get to that high level of black belt nutrition, where you do food combining and mono meals, and that's really black belt nutrition. If you're eating fruits and nuts, that's awesome. Okay, I'm really happy to hear that. Not peanuts, though. Peanuts are high in omega-6s, and they have fungus on them, and they're not good for you. So What else?
Are the acoustic wave treatments covered by most insurance?
No, unfortunately, but they're extremely affordable. Probably the best bang for your buck you'll ever get when it comes to healthcare. So, yeah. What else?
Since sprayed chemicals are so well known to cause problems, why do so many companies keep using them?
They're cheap, longer shelf life, prettier products. You know, if you had a tomato that was all warped and had holes in it and stuff, you'd say, I'm not going to eat that tomato. Something's wrong with it. No, something's right with it. Okay? I remember when I was a kid, we'd eat corn. You'd always open the corn and check for worms. Nobody does that anymore. Why? There's so many chemicals that the worms can't survive. If the worm was eating the corn, that was a good piece of corn. That means it was healthy enough for the worm to survive. My grandmother would say, get those, cut the top off, and eat the rest. So, yeah, it's financial is all it is, yeah. But you don't have to be part of it.
What is the best tea to drink?
Anything that, black tea can have aluminum in it. Even organic tea, it absorbs aluminum from the soil. I like herbal teas. I like licorice teas. I have slippery elm here because slippery elm helps soothe your throat and your digestive system. I shake it up. I like herbal teas, and it depends what kind of mood I'm in. And that's what I kind of go with. But I don't do caffeine because it gives me a headache. And black teas, unfortunately, you run the risk of aluminum. So
That is all.
you guys are awesome. Thanks, guys. Please follow us on all social media platforms. That's your cover charge for being here today. And if you have any questions, send them to me through the website. But the best thing you can do is make an appointment. And again, what is it? drjoe.com. Talk to you soon.